everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Four Guys Talkin Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella.
And I'm Lawrence Lograno.
Welcome back, gentlemen. Nice to see everybody. Everyone's looking well?
Yeah, as well as we can be.
David, you shaved. You're prepping for the winter?
I did shave, actually. I wouldn't say prepping for the winter. You know, just I think that was the most facial hair I ever had. And I got sick of looking like a caveman.
Parent-teacher conferences coming up?
No, I don't do those. Those already happened, too. I'm not a real teacher yet, Ryan. But, see, my facial hair grew in patches, and it was weird. You know? But now that I shaved, I look like I'm a high school student, so.
Well, I wanted to start off the show complimenting David because me and David are about to go into it right now. I hope you like the sound of our voices because we're going to have a lengthy discussion to start off this show. And I wanted to start off the show with a hypothetical scenario. So David and myself have done a lot of arguing over text on a potential World Series matchup, and we both decided to bring that argument onto the podcast for the entertainment of our lovely viewers. Now, because I'm a gentleman, viewers and listeners don't say. Now, I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to let David start. David, the Nationals have just clinched a World Series berth, and the Yankees are still in the running. Can you please tell us why in the world that you think it's more appropriate as a Mets fan to root for the Nationals over the Yankees in the World Series?
I feel like you should have to be the one explaining yourself, not me, to be honest here. But it's how are the Yankees not the team that you hate the most in everything? I don't understand it. They have 27 championships. All they do is rub it in your face. They buy the best players every year. This team is different because they're young, but that just gives them more money to buy more players. I know Ryan, he's a Red Sox fan, so he's going to hate the Yankees anyways. But it just seems like the Nationals have never won anything. I do dislike the Nationals, but I don't hate them. I hate the Phillies. You know, and I would still root for the Yankees over the Phillies, though. But that's not the point. It's just this, I can't stand to see them win again, man. I said it on the show last week. I think I would jump out the balcony if they did. It's not, obviously, that is not being serious, but it's, it would just be way worse for all the sports to see them have 28. I'd much rather see a Washington Nationals championship. Absolutely.
Ryan, what did you want to say?
Before you start talking, Luke, you're going to try to tell me that we're going to start the podcast off with you talking about why you're going to root for the Yankees? Are you kidding me? That's really how you wanted to start this off? Was you making a claim of why the Yankees should win another World Series? Why? Do you want to ruin everyone's day? I can't wait to hear what point you have. I cannot believe this is how you're starting off. No, just go so we can move on with this. This is absolutely ridiculous that you have formulated an argument on why you should root for the Yankees against anyone. Anyone, I don't care who it is. I can't believe you're about to do this. I cannot believe you're legitimately about to justify rooting for the Yankees to win another World Series. Let's hear it.
So David brought up the point. David brought up the point that, of course, Ryan would be rooting against the Yankees in this upcoming World Series. You know why that is?
Everyone is.
It's because they're division rivals, and it's the simplest concept in all of sports. You root against the teams in your division, and David, I hate that you're going to make me say nice things about the Washington Nationals because I can't stand this team. But for years, David, ever since they got in the MLB, they've been ruining the Mets' lives. Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, and then they get some of our guys. They get Dan Murphy in there just to show us up a little bit. And David, they're the reason every year we don't make the playoffs. Whether they're winning the division or they're getting that wild card spot, they go into the playoffs and they waste a spot that could be us. Every year we need to sit back and watch the Mets suffer, David. We need to watch this team be awful while they go into the playoffs in our spot that could be us. Now, the Mets have been really bad, so that's not saying that they're always going to be in the playoffs and the Nationals are strictly the reason. But, David, it's division rivals. I hate these people. To watch a guy who – I was telling David about the Soto shuffle. I'm not sure if you guys know about this, but every time Juan Soto gets called for a ball, he'll look at the pitcher dead in the eye and grab his crotch. That's the guy you want winning the World Series?
I think that's awesome, by the way. While we're talking about that.
He's 20 years old.
I know, and I think it's great how confident he is.
I hate this team. I hate that they're in our division, and they keep us out of the playoffs, David. Because the Yankees are in the other conference, it doesn't matter. what they do. They have no effect on us making the playoffs and making the World Series. Trust me, I root for the Mets in the Subway Series. Why wouldn't you? But it doesn't matter in the long run of things. It doesn't matter. It's one interleague game, or a couple, or one interleague series. But we play the Nationals every year, and every year they kick our ass, and I can't believe you would root against them.
So your argument for why you want the Yankees to win is because you're upset that the Nationals keep getting bounced in the ALDS and the Mets have never had a chance to get bounced in the ALDS? That's the sole reason? Is because both teams have sucked? The Nationals just get bounced in the first round first? So the whole reason you want the Yankees to win is because you're upset that the Nationals get bounced in the ALDS and the Mets haven't had a chance to. That's why?
Right, I understand that Boston doesn't have another team, so you could never understand the parity of two teams, and it doesn't matter in the long run. You root against your division rivals. You hate the Yankees. You probably hate the Jets. You hate every other team in the division with the Celtics. You probably can't stand the Leafs, the Canadians. It's just sports. It makes sense. You hate the people in your division, and you don't give a crap about anyone else because you don't talk with them. You don't interact with them every single year. You see this team every year. Go ahead, Lawrence. You got a weird look on your face.
We see the Yankees every year, too.
And you see Yankees fans all the time. That argument was totally countered. You were like, you don't see these. You do see Yankee fans every day, and they're the ones that rub it in your face. I haven't spoke yet. I think you both have fair points. I think you both have really fair points. I'm miserable. I'm completely miserable.
Oh, we're for the Astros. That's the given.
Right, exactly. I'm completely miserable. But the only teams that I would argue that you would root against the Yankees for are your divisional foes. Like I would struggle in a Phillies-Yankees World Series. I did struggle in a Phillies-Yankees World Series, but I was in school then.
Wasn't hard for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I was rooting for the Phillies, just because you're the little brother in New York. And Ryan, it's interesting.
There's no little brother in Boston.
I have no idea how the people of California feel. No idea. Right? And Anaheim and LA aren't even that close. It's still an hour away. And they, I don't know. I don't know how they feel. Because I'm sure their sports media is not nearly as intense as ours is anyway.
The Clippers would be an interesting scenario for LA because they share a stadium, but they got Kawhi this year. Sorry to bring in the NBA. I know we're not even on that, but I'm wearing a Brooklyn shirt.
But at that point, aren't the Clippers and the Lakers in the same division?
Yeah, but it's still the little brother complex. It's not. It doesn't really matter that.
But moving past that, there are givens in sports. No one wants to see the Canadians win any more Stanley Cups. No one wants to see the Patriots or the Steelers win any more Super Bowls. No one wants to see the Lakers or the Celtics win any more.
Steelers, don't try to take your level down and be humble there, all right? I don't give a shit about the Steelers. The Patriots suck. And no one ever wants to see them win ever again. I
want the Steelers to win so they can further themselves from the Patriots.
Luke, if the Patriots were not a division rival, say you were a Giants fan, would you ever root for them to win a Super Bowl in any way for any reason?
I was a Giants fan?
Yeah.
Giants fans an interesting debate though. With the whole before the Eagles beat them, it was an interesting debate.
The Eagles. As a Giants fan, I would have rooted for the Eagles. I think easily. And almost every Giants fan I knew actually was rooting for the Eagles.
David, I'll put it this way: if the Islanders for some reason were in the Atlantic instead of the Metro, I probably wouldn't care.
I would root for the Islanders to win a championship. I think it'd be cool, and they're a division rival. The Devils too.
You weren't alive in the '80s, though.
You would want? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would totally be cool with the Devils and Islanders winning.
No, absolutely not. I would rather the Canadians win than the Devils or the Islanders, being completely honest with you. But now we're just we're going crazy off topic.
Yeah, now we're going really. So honestly, it's the little brother complex. That's what it is, and it's not because it's our choice. It's been forced upon us, and there's just always been a history in this. New York's a baseball town. It is. No matter how you break it, baseball is absolutely the most popular sport in New York. Maybe that's because of the Yankee success, but the Mets are actually a really successful franchise in the broad stream of baseball. But and you react that way because you are compared to the Yankees in every scenario you could ever think of. But what expansion team has the most championships? Which is a team that came into baseball after the 1900 turn. It's the Mets.
2?
Yes. Tied with the Marlins.
I also
around for a bit, but no other expansion team has won 2 championships, dude. This is a capitalist sport. and an expansion team is so far down. Look at the Rays and the Marlins on the cap list. Who are the richest teams? The ones that have been around forever. Cubs, Yankees, Dodgers. Astros just because the city's really big.
Yeah,
But that's
we've
kind of like
talked.
the Mets idea.
I've talked about the plight of the small market team in baseball on this podcast before, so I don't feel the need to go back and re-explain
right.
how the parity between all that. But just think logistically, David. Come on, it's 2 championships. Like we're sure, like you can say we're a good baseball team, but we're not a great baseball team. Was Mike Piazza? Wasn't he like our first retired number for like a player? Am I missing some? Yeah, it was Seaver, and so Piazza was 2. And how far apart were those to finally find a forever player to cement the number?
Left.
Tom Seaver.
And there would have been 3 players, Luke.
A great team.
Listen,
you leave a historic team.
3 of the 86 players would have been if they didn't go and play on the other side of town for the Yankees. How do you like them? How do you not hate them more than anything?
I don't like the Yankees. I just hate the people in our division. I can't stand watching other people.
We're so bad. I don't think our division matters that much. It's not their fault that they're beating us. We suck.
I still hate the Bills and the Dolphins. The three of
Why do you hate the Bills? The Bills are cool.
Because they're division rivals, David. That's the way it works. Literally, the entire premise of sports.
I mean, I guess, I really hate the Texans, so I get it, I guess. But
I see. I don't know. I might get yelled at here. I might get yelled at here for this, but like, and the nicest
You're a Pats
way
fan talking football. You're getting yelled at.
possible, on my level of concern in the NFL, like I like beating the Jets because I get to yell at you guys. But
Ryan, whole life, your whole life on
really
this planet Earth, your whole time on this planet Earth, where you were able to actually grasp the concept of football and watch it and enjoy it and remember it, you've never had to worry about another NFL team in the history of your life. Ever.
Except the Giants those times.
But you made my point is, as a Patriots fan, you cannot feel the same way about your divisional rivals as any other team in ever, especially being a 21-year-old kid from Boston.
Who's literally seen everything.
I have a good comparison.
Yeah, I don't like that I get yelled at because I just happen to be from Boston. My team win. I really think it's unfortunate.
I want to hear your comparison, but first, before you do that, when me and Ryan were first talking sports when we first moved in together in college, we're talking about how I've never seen a championship before. I've not seen one. And Ryan was listing off all the championships, and he finally got to probably in the teens, and then to go, oh, wait, are we counting Boston College? Because I've got a lot more coming. Ryan's never faced any adversity in the world of sports before. So sorry for yelling at you, Ryan, but you had it coming to you. David, go ahead.
Hold on. I don't think to say that.
It's a good time to be a Boston fan.
I don't think it's fair to say that we've never faced any adversity. I think that's a harsh statement to make.
Yeah, that 1 year in the last 15 that none of your pro teams won a championship must have been hard, right?
I'm just saying that each team has faced individual adversity.
Ryan, the Red Sox were a bottom 10 team this year, and you said, screw it, let's watch football instead. You've never faced adversity. David, make your point.
There was a Red Sox curse. Just don't forget that happens. But beside that, I'm the same idea of the whole, rooting against the Yankees thing. When the Patriots played the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago, would you have expected me to root for the Patriots?
No.
Because that would be the same exact thing. That's the same rooting for the Nationals.
No, but I wouldn't have blamed you for it. I wouldn't have called you crazy for it.
Yeah. I don't think I would have either.
If I was rooting for the Patriots over the Jags, you wouldn't have called me an asshole.
No, because that's your division rival.
I don't know. I don't really hate them.
No, I would. The
Colts division rivals, to be honest.
Personally, I would have called
Titans, I don't.
Luke Lagrana would have called David Acasella a jerk because he's family and Patriots are a big no-no. But as a fan,
Luke, that's David's point.
Right.
Because your family and the Yankees are a big no-no.
Yes, exactly.
They're big. No. Lawrence, you personally, who's your most hated sports team out of all Big Four?
The Patriots.
Ryan, how about you? Because mine's the Patriots. Ryan's hard because he can't think of anyone. But David,
no, because I hate
the Yankees, Ryan.
So here's the thing: I really, really, really hate the Yankees. I really, really, really hate what the Giants did to the Patriots. So
Are
that
you really upset about that? You won 6.
yes, yes,
We're getting a lot of insight
Yes.
into Ryan's life right now.
I
But
actually
David's most
root-
hated team isn't even in the same conference.
They're leagues, first of all.
Logistics now. We're doing
but
logistics,
but
ladies
Luke,
and
they're in the
gentlemen.
same
Welcome.
city, and that's worse. That's worse. I don't. They don't take over the market. They don't force me to be the insignificant little brother. If you ask a Devils fan who they hate the most of any team, what do you think their answer is going to be?
Rangers, easy.
They'll
If
say
you
the
ask an
Rangers.
Islanders fan that, what do you think they'll say?
The Rangers, easy.
Right. So, I mean, is that not a prime example? That's the other local market, because basketball and football are national market sports. The local market sports are baseball and hockey.
So it doesn't apply to the Jets and the Giants?
Well, because everyone plays at the same time, so like the city doesn't matter. Like I don't root for a New York football team. I know tons of people that root for all one city and everything else, but not football because everyone plays on Sunday. So you could watch anyone if you wanted to. But baseball and hockey, you kind of got to live in that area to see it. And the NBA, it's only really a couple teams, and they're always on TV. Because there's only like 4 teams that matter. So it's the idea of being the younger brother in the small market where you actually haven't been miserable comparatively in the broad scheme of things. And they replaced a storied tradition of New York baseball on the National League side, which always competed with the Yankees in the World Series. There's just that foundation. I would really actually be extremely interested to see what your father thinks of this growing up a Giants fan, a New York Giants fan in baseball. If he would root for the Yankees or the Nationals.
I think he's going to root for the Yankees, to be honest with you.
Really?
But I think he's a
Okay.
New York all the way kind of guy.
He just
you know what I
is-
mean?
pumps up New
he's
York.
like that with
Okay.
every sport.
Right.
That's
He's
fair.
like that
Yeah.
too.
Honestly, the Yankees are the only New York team I'd say I root against. I would root for all of the other ones.
I think at the stem of this thing, which is the problem I have with David every year, is the fact that he glorifies the Mets way too much. I think maybe because I'm not looking at the biggest, like the bigger picture here.
Because you're always
but as
comparing
long-
yourself to the fucking
That's not
Yankees.
true, Dave. I compare myself to any team. Tell me objectively that the 2015 Mets wasn't one of the saddest things you ever did. The Yankees had no effect on that. The Mets are a sad team every year, David.
2015 was awesome.
They don't
It was the World
need
Series.
they don't need
What are you talking
another
about?
team. They don't need another team in their city to embarrass
That was
themselves,
like the
David.
1 year I
They
enjoyed
make a
being a
joke
Mets.
out of
Yeah.
themselves every year,
How many
and they
cities?
don't need help.
How many teams have not been to the World Series in the past 20 years? There's a ton of them. We've been there twice.
And we haven't done crap, David. We haven't done crap there. We got
I know, but
embarrassed.
we got there. Like I'm talking broad scheme. You're looking at New York ideas and New York perspective because their team's in every fucking year. But if you're like a Texas fan, this is the first time the Astros have ever gone to two World Series they've ever been to. This is about to be the second one, if they even make it. They might not even make it. They've only been to one. There's that whole history of sucking.
True.
Yeah, didn't they make one in like the early 2000s? Or am I making that
Oh,
up?
actually, they did lose to the White Sox. You're right. The White Sox are a good example, too. When's the last time you even seen them make the playoffs? There's
They
so
won
many
05
teams.
Or 06. 05?
Right. That was 15 years ago by now.
Yeah.
There's people like that, have been rooting for the White Sox for a while that have never seen that or weren't alive for that. It's just, I don't know. I've always hated them more than any other team. And I struggle to see how, as a New York Mets fan, you don't too.
I really, really hate Max Scherzer and Bryce Harper.
Chris Harper's a
also,
Phillies.
Chris Harper's
I was
not
gonna
even on the team anymore. Dude.
well,
Can we
well,
drag
how-
him for a bit? That's hysterical. They're
I
in
was
the World
gonna say,
Series, and this
can
guy's sitting
we-
at home.
on his birthday?
That is great.
On his birthday, they clinched World Series berth. How
I
incredible!
love
is
it.
that? On his
It's just
birthday.
you can't
That is
write
pretty
it
cool.
any better.
You can't-
can't
yeah,
write
that's-
it any better.
Absolutely not.
It's not like the Nationals have really hurt the Mets, though. I mean, any time that they've made the playoffs, we were bad, and we had no chance to beat them. And
Yeah,
we beat up on them a lot when they first moved to DC, and
So
we
it makes
even
the
owned
playoffs
them
a
in the
lot
regular
more always
season.
bad, and we never have a shot.
We never make the playoffs. What are you talking about?
I wouldn't say we owned them, but I think to Luke's point, the most meaningful games that we've played over the past decade have probably been in the regular season have probably been against the Nationals. It's always that series in July, it's series in August. You're like, God damn it, like huge series, playing the Nats again. Like really don't like this team. Can't
Those
lose kind of
games
mentality.
matter every year.
And we usually win.
And I would say the Nationals right now because I think I know. In the 2000s, you could have went Phillies Braves because the Expos and Marlins were irrelevant.
I still definitely hold the Phillies above all.
This team, oh yeah, without a doubt.
I
But
do
in this
too.
decade, this team has been the most prominent, bar none. You know, because they just keep kicking our ass. They're better than us.
I just feel like they're so harmless, though. I don't know.
But David.
Terrible. They had a curse on them, and now they're here. But it's the goddamn.
Also,
Yankees.
them winning this World Series doesn't affect us in the playoffs either. So, like, what does that matter? You know what I mean? Like
they did it.
They've already made it. You're right. That's our fault, not theirs.
About it 18 times when they play next year, you know.
Or I hear about it all year
you
when
cut
the
out there. I
Yankees
didn't hear
are
anything you
talked
said.
about.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about it way less if the Nationals win. That's the point. That's the whole idea.
I'm not going to get to hear what Lawrence said because there's no Shakespeare remembers it.
All right. We've talked about this for too long.
We have.
We've exhausted our points.
I think the only thing we've learned
never wants to talk about baseball.
I think the only thing we've learned here so far in this big conversation me and David had is that Ryan has it incredibly easy. Okay. So
so on that point,
you have
2001, 2003, 2004, 2007, 2008, 2 in 2013, 2014, 2016, and 2 in 2018. Those are all the championships I've seen.
You were the City of Champions, dude. Like,
and those are just
wins
wins
every year.
That doesn't include the 1 Celtics loss, 2 Bruins losses, 2 Patriots losses, 3 Patriots losses.
3.
Wait, did you say you thought the Celtics were going to be good this year?
Me?
Yeah. Earlier in this show? Did I imagine that, or did you say that?
No. I said I want to talk about the sports because their rookie they drafted, Carson Edwards, hit 8 threes in the third quarter.
Oh, wow.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I love that guy too.
Great.
Yes. Guy, right? That's why I recognize his name.
But I don't think that. I think they'll be a middle of the pack Eastern Conference team. But now we're way off topic. We can.
yeah.
All right, so let's get into some actual news, shall we? I feel like we've been deprived of news for the entire top of the show. Let's actually
we have a lot.
We have a lot to talk about.
So let's quick hit the news.
Cool. All right. So football. A lot of news coming out of the West Coast. The Los Angeles Rams appear to be going all in after sending Marcus Peters to Baltimore to make room for their newest acquisition, cornerback Jalen Ramsey. The Rams sent 2 first-round picks and a future 4th-round pick to Jacksonville in exchange for the all-star cornerback. Lawrence, does this move put the Rams back in Super Bowl contention?
No. Not at all. I mean, no. They got much bigger problems than that. This guy, isn't he? He doesn't have that many years left on his contract, right? That's not even the point. Is that they're not locking this guy up long term. Gurley's a shell of himself. Goff looks terrible because their offensive line is hot garbage. Injuries, and they lost 2 starters this offseason. They are bad up front. Until that changes, they're not a good football team. They can't beat good football teams. We've seen it this year. They really took a hit in the offensive line and their skill position players, minus maybe the wide receivers. Cooper Kupp's having himself a year. But they do not look good. A corner doesn't fix a football team. So no, and this is just classic Rams. They're going to completely go for it because they paid Goff and Gurley already, and they're going to suck in the next 5 years for a decade. There's my hot take.
Does anyone else want to comment on that, or are we going to let Lawrence have this one?
I honestly, when I first heard the question, I thought there's no way they could win the Super Bowl. But the more I think about it, they could definitely make the playoffs. They could even get to a Super Bowl, I think, just because of how smart.
They're the 3rd best team in their division, though.
Right now, but it's week 7, dude. There's a lot of football left. Things change. And their coach is one of the smartest coaches in the league. The problem is that all the teams have figured out the only thing you got to do to stop Goff is blitz him. Belichick showed the world that in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And every team that's played him has just blitzed him, and it's worked, and it's done really well. And, unless he can figure out a way to get around that, then they're not going to compete at all. Especially with this bad line and your star running back having arthritis, and you can't put money into the line now because he's the highest paid running back in the league.
Yep. Nailed it. Corner doesn't fix it. And this is, I mean, the Peters thing is its own story because this is what his third team in the last year and a half. I mean, he had awful numbers in LA compared to Kansas City. Awful. So who even knows what they gave up? But with that trade and Talib getting hurt, it made sense. It just felt like a lot. It felt like a lot.
2 first-round picks. That is a lot.
It's a lot.
So I thought it'd be 1.
Yeah.
Maybe and a third, but they got 2 firsts and then a 4th.
So that was going to be my point, was we're focusing too much on Jalen Ramsey, which does, I don't think, anything for the Rams and not enough for Jackson. Good for them. Well done. You shipped a guy who said, I don't really want to be here out, and you got a great haul for him. Like, well done. You make lemonade out of lemons. He didn't want to be there. He wasn't going to re-sign anyways. You got 2 first-rounders and a 4th. Well done. Great move. Send him off. Let him go talk trash somewhere else. Good for the Jaguars.
Did you guys see that the Jaguars 2014, 2015, and 2016 first-round picks are all Los Angeles Rams at the moment?
Really?
Bortles, Dante Fowler, and Jalen Ramsey.
Wow.
They are all LA Rams. So
Wow.
It's like the Lightning and the Rangers.
yeah, pretty good that they got 2 firsts and a 4. I mean, unreal. I thought it was a great trade for them. He didn't want to be there.
So
And is Ramsey hurt, or was he faking it because he didn't want to play? Because that's unanswered.
He's fine.
Right? So who knows what Jalen Ramsey
He didn't want to play, dude. He had the flu, or like his kid was born. You know, he had different excuses every game.
those are 2 very different things, David.
Those were 2 of the excuses he gave to miss
I think
games.
he's right.
Yeah, he is.
Before-
Guy, who knows if the flu was exaggerated, but
Right. The kid was born, but just because the kid was born doesn't mean you can't play on Sunday. Kid was born on like Thursday. You know?
teams usually let you get away with that, though.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was for the Rams, he would have played.
Yeah, you never know. The birth of your kid. You
I
don't know
guess
what that feels like, thankfully.
You're right. But still,
So
3 days later.
Before we move on, I want to apologize because multiple times on this show I said that there was no way Jalen Ramsey was getting moved. I said that multiple times, and I apologize for being so incorrect. And speaking of things I'm wrong about, let's move on to predictions. So, the NFL moves into Week 7, and we move on to another week of our predictions. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. David remains in first place with 16 points and a record of 9-3. Lawrence is closing in on David in second with 14 points and a record of 7-5. Ryan is right behind him with 13 points with a record of 7-5. And I am in last place with 5 points and a record of 2-10. So let's get right into it. David, start us off.
Oh man, that before I get into it, don't go up yet, Luke. You could definitely come back in.
Right?
You're what, 5? You're 8 points out.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
I need Ryan to get blanked, and I need to go perfect, which I think has just as good a chance as me coming in contact with Jesus and God.
Yeah, there's about 60 points left though, so you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, it's possible. I might bring a razor with me next show.
Not on air, man. Come on. Do that in private.
David, what point
So anyway,
go ahead.
My first pick is going to once again be my Colts. This could just be me being biased. I'm going to totally admit it on this one, but I think they're a better football team than Texans are, and Vegas doesn't. The line opened at Pick'em. It moved to 1, but I'm gonna sit on it because they're at home. I'm sure, as we all know, the home team's supposed to get 3 points. So they're basically saying they think Houston's 2 points better than the Colts. I think that's just an inaccurate assessment.
All right, Lawrence, you're in second. Go ahead. 1 point pick.
All right, this may be a lengthy one. I need to find the odds because I know what they are in DraftKings, but I don't know what. Do you have Vegas consensus up? Can you confirm?
I was just thinking
my
I'm
line.
working to get it up right now.
The same
So,
issue just ran through my head because I was looking at
Someone's
DraftKings
smiling
all
and raising their eyebrows, and that's Ryan Hicks from Boston, Massachusetts, because he knows exactly where I'm going with this pick. He knows exactly where I'm going. I'm taking the New York Football Jets, getting 10 points at home against New England on Monday Night Football. Darnold is back, baby. I can't wait for him to torture you for the next 15 years. And it starts with them covering the spread on Sunday or Monday. Because they're not going
Is it up to 10 or is it still at 9.5?
10 when I checked my book this morning. Don't know what Vegas consensus is, though, because I was focusing on speaking.
The Vegas one is 9.5 right now.
Damn it. All right. I'll still take it. 9.5. That's a lot. Damn it. Half. I wanted to push. I lose on a push. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, you would have lost on 10 anyway,
That's
so it doesn't
better.
matter. Yeah.
It's actually better.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference, right?
Yeah, it's better. All right. Jets always play the Pats close, especially at home. They are riding high after their big first win against the Dallas Cowboys. Ryan Hicks, would you like your opportunity to make your dollar back?
I will take it.
Fantastic. I'll be 1 point higher and $1 richer. 11 p.m. Monday night. Book it.
Ryan, it's your turn.
I value my beard at more than $1. And for that reason, while I have agreed to the dollar bet, I also know that history speaks for itself. I am taking the Jets at
Wow.
9.5 to cover the spread, and that's why I asked what it was.
Whoa.
I think the Jets are going to cover. With that being said, I think it's going to be an ugly cover.
Whoa. Little listen, I'm down for a little backdoor action.
I think it's going to be a garbage time touchdown to get you in right at 9 or right at 8. I can't wait to sit next to Luke and watch the Patriots win because that's all they do. But with that being said, I think the Jets are going to cover.
Well, now my pick is incredibly less interesting now. This is a big moment, ladies and gentlemen, for us. I wish I could explain how nice this feels. This feels good. It feels right.
I appreciate the valuing $1 more than your beard comment, though.
See, does it make sense
Valuing
now?
your beard more than $1. Yeah, I appreciate it.
There was a beautiful lead-in, and you had popped right up. I can't wait to watch that back. It was great.
If you don't think I make a gift out of that to share with the folks, it's happening. So my pick's not nearly as interesting, and I think now is the time where I'm a little more less concerned with my bets. I'm not ready to full on switch them yet, but I'm sticking with the gut on this one.
Switch 'em.
Analytics have not gotten me anywhere. So,
I maybe should have switched him.
and I don't think this is one I was comfortable switching, and that's why I'm sticking with it. My 1 point pick, the Jalen Ramsey list, Jacksonville Jaguars -3.5 at Cincinnati. I'm really pulling for this Bengals team to continue to be. Yes.
Bengals? Aren't the Rams playing the Falcons?
No, it's the Bengals.
Oh, sorry. You said Jalen Ram. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha.
Jaguars,
not the Rams.
Right.
Woo! All right.
Listening now.
All right.
Okay, he's good. So not much analysis here. The Bengals are really bad. Ryan's laughing already. We're gonna need to give him a second before he makes another pick. But I'm praying that Minshew Mania and Gardner the Superstar really pull through for me against this really, really atrocious John Ross-less Bengals team. And I say that because he was their one player that I was comfortable having on my fantasy team, and now he's hurt.
Not Boyd.
So,
Tyler Boyd and Auden Tate say, what up?
Joe Mixon, yeah, he stinks.
Mixon's garbage.
Yeah.
Andy
Dalton has done nothing for me in Lawrence's league. David, 2 point pick. Go ahead.
Oh, I feel like my thunder's been stolen on this one bit, but my 2 point pick is also the New York Jets with 9.5. As we've said, history shows they always play the Pats tight, and this Jets team is not the same team it was without Darnold. They've been absolutely rejuvenated this past week. It shows how different of a team they were the first game and this last fifth game. 3 games in between, unrecognizable team. They're not the same team at all. The coach has his whole playbook back. It looked like he was playing the game with a third of his playbook, those games without Darnold, and now he's got the full playbook. Gase is a smart offensive play caller too. Say what you want about the guy, but he's a good play caller. It's just that they're back to the caliber of being a playoff team, and to say the Pats are like 13 points better than them that's not fair.
The Pats are also banged up.
Mosley's back?
Yeah, he could go back too. And the Pats are banged
Don't
up as
even
well,
get
too.
me started.
It's not like this
No,
Patriots.
no Michael Bennett.
It's
That's
not like
no
the
not-
Michael
Patriots,
Bennett.
like
No, Michael Bennett is so far down below. Do you know how many snaps Michael Bennett has played in the last 3 weeks?
It is when your right and left tackles are both hurt. Thank you.
Michael Bennett doesn't play.
who the hell is Michael Bennett anyway?
He's
Really?
really
now?
the defensive lineman used to play for the Seahawks. Was dominant.
Oh, that guy. Okay, yes.
Martellus Bennett's brother. Nonetheless, the Pats aren't playing a 4-3 anymore. They're playing a 3-4 because Collins and Hightower and Van Noy are absolutely filthy, and Danny Shelton's having a breakout season. So Michael Bennett's really not an issue, but the bigger concern is Josh Gordon's knee. But that
Honestly, they're probably still the best defense in the league.
Corners are trash. Don't worry about it.
one of they're definitely
No,
the best.
I said the best defense.
Okay.
I can't believe we're
But the
talking about
Jets are also up there. They could be top 5, the Jets defense, with a healthy Mosley.
Yeah,
And Darnold diced up another what I consider top defense in Dallas last week. So why can't he do well again? You know?
because the Patriots have had 10 days to game plan instead of 5.
Yeah, but this kid's played one game. What are you game planning on? You have no film. All right? Like what do you got?
It's true.
All right. Before we
I'm
get
sure
too
Bill
far
will
down
pick
the
something
rabbit-
up though.
All right, Lawrence,
Yeah,
go
good
ahead.
point. Okay, my second pick, 2-point pick, is a team that I believe may have the best defense in the NFL. Yet to be determined. I am going with a heavy road favorite, and I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers laying 9 at the Washington Redskins. Redskins are hot garbage. They don't know who's starting a quarterback. It's either Haskins, Keenum, McCoy. Everything's still kind of up in the air. It's leaning Haskins right now. It's Wednesday night. The Niners are for real, man. Like, everyone had this team pegged from the beginning of the year as the team that would make the jump from 4 wins to the playoffs. And I think they could do it. Jimmy G's look good. They held off the Rams. So the Redskins are really, really, really terrible. And they definitely snuck one out in Miami, which they didn't deserve. So, cover 9. Book it.
Ryan, 2-point pick.
I don't love this pick, but for some reason I just kind of saw it and I was like, I'm gonna do that one. I'm taking the Giants 3-point home favorites against the Cardinals. I'm just still not sold on the Cardinals team, and I still like Daniel Jones, and they should be getting some players back. But I just don't. I don't know. I'm still not convinced in Kyler Murray, and I'm still not convinced in this Cardinals team, and I just kind of like that Giants home. 3 points isn't a ton. I think that's something that they could easily cover. So
Saquon's
that's my
back,
2-point
baby,
pick.
right?
Right.
Is that official yet, or?
Is Saquon back?
I thought
He's
he's
gonna
supposed
play.
to be.
Yeah, he's playing.
I'm almost
He
positive he's
practiced.
going to play.
I'm pretty sure he's a full participant in practice today. I mean, if you do that, you play. you
Still
know?
playing. Yikes.
All right. So, David, if you thought your thunder was stolen, then mine is gone down the drain and not coming back anytime soon. So I'll keep it short and sweet. 2-point pick, the New York Jets. I'm so excited to be watching my Super Bowl, better than the actual Super Bowl. Ryan, I can't wait for you to make fun of me all night, but I'm going to be super stoked when I have 2 points by the end of it, and I'm semi back in this race for points. All right. The
I should
top
have took the Pats.
pick.
I should have took the Pats.
David,
Why did Luke
top
take them? Why did Luke take them?
So this pick is actually one of my favorite picks of the year. I think this is a great football pick, and it's the Detroit Lions at home getting 1.5 to the Vikings. Vikings are honestly not a great football team. They're coached well, not very talented all around. It seems like they get their butt kicked, but they're bullies at home when they get their crowd behind them. And if you look at their record at home and on the road, the only road team that they've even been competitive in was the Giants game, which they won. But the Giants, aren't that good actually. So how are they going to go into Detroit, who really should be, 4-2 now? They should have won that game on Monday. And they should really be leading that NFC North. And it's a very good Detroit football team. Probably the best Lions team we've ever seen because they've been bad for so long. And getting points at home. I don't know. But it might be my favorite pick of the year. I don't know if it's my overall favorite pick of the year. I had some good ones in the past too. But Definitely lock it in. Lions plus 1.5.
Perfect. Lawrence, go ahead.
My 3-point pick is par for the course here on Four Guys Talking Sports. I'm picking against Atlanta. That's exactly what I'm doing. They're not a good football team, really at all.
They keep getting
People act
capped
like
like
they
one.
are in Vegas. It doesn't. It makes no sense. Rams are laying 3 on the road. I think it's easy. This team couldn't beat the Cardinals last week. I mean, the Rams.
Wasn't that game really
I've
close,
already
though?
ranted about how they are subpar. Yeah, they lost by 1, but they played the Cardinals close. I mean,
And lost.
the Rams are a better team than the Cardinals. Right. The Rams are a better team than the Cardinals. It didn't make sense to me. I'm laying 3 on the road. I'm taking LA. Book it.
Sounds good. Ryan, go ahead.
What he said.
Hey.
taking the Rams. Like I said, my theme this week has been listening to others. I'm listening to Larry with the Jets pick. David's been preaching that Atlanta sucks for 6 weeks now, and I'm hopping on it. Atlanta sucks.
I have been.
Let's go Rams. I'm just taking everyone's advice this week. Whatever you got, give to me, and I'm going to turn around and make picks out of it.
Wasn't the first thing we talked about on the show how the Rams aren't actually that good, though?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
Yes.
So,
But
I mean,
The
Falcons
Falcons so
are
much
worse.
worse.
you guys, I understand, but they're still on the road and still laying points, you know? I don't
Right.
know. I mean, I would pick the Rams, gun to my head, but I wouldn't make it a show pick. Put it that way.
Ryan, if you're taking everybody's advice, give me $50 this week, and I'll make you a happy man. All right. So, my top pick. This is probably going to be a mistake, but it always is
David,
every week. So,
$50. Not Luke.
Just gonna bet against Luke's picks. That's how you make money.
yeah, there you go. That's how you make money.
Just telling you to switch him, man.
Telling me to switch him in this week. If it doesn't work this week, I'm gonna do it because I just couldn't listen this week. This pick looks too good to me to not.
Well,
be
it's
true.
always going to do that when you want to switch them. That's the whole point. That's why you switch. Sorry.
I'm sticking with them. I'm sticking with them. They did well for me last week. I'm putting all my trust in a former New York Jets quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is still perfect in relief, so I'm going with the Saints plus 3.5 at Chicago. I know people don't like to march into Soldier Field. It's typically one of the better home field advantages in the game of football. With that said, this New Orleans team keeps getting points, and I think they're a very, very high up team in the league right now. Like I said, Teddy Bridgewater is perfect in relief for Drew. I don't see why not to take New Orleans this week. I think this one is a great pick at getting points.
I was really going to bet that on Sunday. You're actually going to make me bet the Bears?
Yeah, do it.
Is that what's happening?
Do it. Book it,
Is that
as
what's
Lawrence would say. All right. So, while we're on the topic of NFL picks, let's talk about a very controversial game I had my eye on last week. So, when I wasn't getting screwed out of covering for my 3-point pick by Jamal Williams playing duck goose on the 1-yard line, Detroit D lineman Trey Flowers was the victim of 2 horrendous calls. In the latest of the 2 calls being so egregious that it cost them the game. Flowers was called for 2 different hands to the face calls and essentially sealed the game for the Packers. David, can you explain what's happening in the NFL with these awful calls and this lower than average officiating?
It's just something a lot of NFL analysts I've seen been pointing out. To be honest, I feel like it's been bad every year I've watched, but I thought that was just me being a fan, so I guess. But now I'm seeing unbiased opinions from people who professionally talk about football, saying how bad it is, people who've played the game. Dan Orlovsky, I was the first one I saw, actually, who was a quarterback in the NFL for 10-plus years. Not a starter, but he was in the league. Yeah, you saw what he said, right? He was in the league. He knows what's going on.
He's an absolute stud on TV.
He completely understands the game of football, and he's a great analyst.
Oh, yeah.
So if he's saying this, then it's got to be true. And I was thinking this before I watched that Lions-Packers game, and the Lions would have won that game if it were not for a phantom defensive penalty on 3rd down. Twice. One of them you could say was – the second one probably actually was a penalty. But that was borderline. After you already gave him a phantom one in the first place, it just seems, I don't know, maybe they're too worried about the review of the pass interference.
They had a great point. on Get Up on how to fix it when it was Greeny Orlovsky and the guy with the sweet nickname. Oh God, it's escaping me. Swagoo? Was that? No, it can't be that. Can
I
it?
know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, I can't. I'm really doing disservice to the guy because Swagoo's not his nickname. I look like a real idiot. But they had a great fix when Orlovsky went on that rant. They were saying, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but if this is how it's handled in college, where they literally have someone in the booth while the game is happening that watches the plays and can confirm to the referee whether or not it's a penalty before they actually get on the mic and make the call, and they can overturn it on the spot. Because that's what they were saying. Is there's too many of these egregious phantom calls, right?
How is that any different than a regular ref?
Right. But, everything's about, preserving the integrity and the eyesight, and human error has always been part of the game, and this and that thing. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, they have this in the Fail Mary. I mean, I get that, it could all come around in the end, but, man, they've absolutely gotten blasted on national television by NFL officiating. It's pathetic.
So, I was going to say, being a ref is a thankless job, and I think that's common knowledge is that being a ref, no one's ever going to tap you on the back for doing a good job. You're either going to get reamed out or no one's going to talk to you. But I'm not sure if you guys saw this, and pardon me for me absolutely butchering his name, but the left tackle for the Packers, is it David Bakhtiari? Is that how you say it?
Correct. Yes.
Correct? Okay. So apparently, I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but in his post-game press conference, apparently he had gone up to the ref one time during the game and said, "Hey, are we not calling hands to the face anymore? Because I've been looking at the sky for the past 4 plays." And that is when, right afterwards, the first call came against Trey Flowers. So I don't know whether to say that guy's a jerk, hats off for the good acting, but it looks like that had some real sway in it.
Listen, it can happen, right? Reggie Bush went on Colin Cowherd on Tuesday and basically said that the players chirp the refs all the time. And you're right, Luke. It is a thankless job, but at the end of the day, those guys basically volunteer to do it. They're some of the smartest guys on the planet. They're doctors, lawyers, etc. They get paid no money for refereeing. It's a side gig. You do it for fun. They can take it, So I mean, you gotta like.
David can tell you.
Here, right?
David can tell you firsthand. I was a first plate umpire once, and I will never do it again. I've never been more terrified in my entire life.
So I have a few different points here. One, I was a ref. I worked as an intramural ref, which is as low level as you can get. And if you ask Luke, I absolutely hated going to work every day. It was miserable. I just got yelled at by a bunch of kids for a game that literally meant nothing. Like, both teams are 0-8, and neither one of them could skate, and I was getting yelled at over an offsides. It was offsides because you can't skate. That's why it was offsides. I didn't call it because if I called every offsides, I'd be here for 4 hours, and I get paid by the game, not by the hour. So reffing, I wouldn't put my worst enemy on a field to ref a game. It's awful. I hate it. With that being said, when has officiating ever been good? David, you hit the nail on the head. We have the same conversation every year. Every year, the officiating sucks. That's just the way sports goes. Lawrence, to your point, pick your battle, and this is sports fans worldwide. If you want to appreciate the integrity of human error and its role in the game, yank every replay out of sports because it
won't do it.
And I understand that, but I think that's the constant contradiction in the world of sports nowadays. Is you want a slow motion replay for everything, and personally, sometimes I think slow-mo replay in particular does more harm than good. Just because, especially with the hits and everything, like a hit in slow-mo always looks worse than it does in real time. So when you slow it down, the person's always going to get a worse penalty than it actually was. And with that being said, every time that you replay something, you're just taking any legitimacy that the refs have out of it. And finally, to your point, Luke, head games with the refs is part of professional sports. I mean, how many times in a 7-game series? It happened in the Stanley Cup this year, where what's his name for the Blues coach? I don't know. I just blocked that whole series out of my head. Comes out after game 2 or game 3 and says, "Oh, well, we're not getting any calls." And the next game, the Bruins have 4 calls in the first 10 minutes of the game or whatever it was, something ridiculous like that. So I mean, that's how pro sports are worked. There's so many mind games that are played with the refs, and there's so many times where a coach comes out to the media and it's calculated and it's totally planned, and they all talk about it beforehand, and the coach goes, I'm going to go yell at them so that we get the first call next game. And 99% of the time what happens, a coach or a player goes out there, blasts the refs, next game in the series, other team gets the first penalty. Every time.
That's why in the NBA you get fined if you talk bad about the refs.
That's because the NBA is soft. That's a whole different
Yeah.
art.
Yeah, basketball I think is harder to officiate.
Agreed.
These football things are just so they're so egregious because I feel like they're more common sense things. It's not like in hockey, like where you get a tough penalty call on a hit in the boards, and it's like like that time the Devils lost the Stanley Cup on that boarding call with like that was a good call. Honestly, they're just upset because of the time it happened in. Like he absolutely boarded that man. You know what I mean? Like. And in baseball, balls and strikes are, people are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. This was a judgment call. Twice they could have changed. And this isn't the only example of this happening. So I don't know. I think it's a new level at this point.
Cool. All right. Any more to talk about NFL officiating? We all good?
Yep.
So you know what this means. It's time for the part of the show where Lawrence misses his cue. Lawrence, what time is it?
Mailbag!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mailbag, the best part of the show because we get to throw up that lovely graphic of Lawrence, and he didn't miss his cue this time, so I think it's cause for celebration.
There we go.
I'm going to change things up a little bit here, boys. I'm going to make the first question of Mailbag actually from me. I was thinking about this the other day, and I decided this would be a good Mailbag question. I wanted to save it for the podcast. So my question is, if you could look at every player from the last decade who's played in the MLB playoffs, who is your MVP of the last decade, and who is your least valuable player?
Man.
Wow, that's a really good question.
Love some prep time for this.
I would have too.
While you guys are thinking, I actually have
off the rip.
Okay, that's my answer for MVP as well. I was thinking Tim Lincecum, but then I thought that Mad Bum always has ice in his veins. The guy has fantastic stats. He's incredible in the postseason, and we've seen that run that the Giants went on.
What was the time parameter you gave me?
Let's go to 2010s.
Okay, so yeah, decade.
So
It's got to be him, right?
While you guys are thinking
I would think most appearances and probably most awards, best stats. Let's see. Did Steve Pierce actually win the MVP last year? My God.
He did.
Who won the World Series that year?
Grow up.
So, Luke, what prompts were you going to give us while we're thinking?
Oh, so I have some news. Last week we said we wanted to check in with Dave Davina, who asked us that amazing question about the Yankees versus the Jets and the Giants. And I have the answer. Dave is sticking with Justin. He is also taking the Yankees. And it's the four guys talking sports who are saying that the Jets and Giants are going to come out on top.
I'm okay with this. The Yankees could get real unlucky and lose these next two.
Woo!
With Verlander and Cole going, which puts their total at 4?
They're at 4 right now.
Is that incorrect? Yeah, they're at 4 right now, right? Now, we're counting Jets and Giants wins from last week, so that makes the football score 1, correct?
Oh, I thought it was total.
I did too.
No, yeah, it's their total wins, which is only 3 anyway, so.
The Yankees still
yeah, you got a point.
Yankees have 4 wins. So the Yankees are ahead anyway.
New York football teams have 3. Oh, God. All right.
So, Luke, back to your question. Is it World Series or playoffs? And
Playoffs.
Oh, no, it's total. It's total. Yeah, no, it can't
So,
just
least valuable player?
Yes.
Clayton Kershaw.
That's what I thought. I have an answer that I don't think is going to be popular. That's not Clayton Kershaw for me, but I wanted to hear what you guys had to say first. Mad Bum is my answer for MVP.
Same. Just because that's the first person that came to mind.
I feel like there's a hitter I'm missing.
There's got to be someone. Yeah,
there's totally a hitter that I'm missing.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you could probably say Altuve. If you ever looked at his playoff numbers, what they look like just on their own. If we're only going the last 10 years, I'm gonna say Altuve because I want to be different.
There you
All
go.
right.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Luke, who's your
Least is hard though.
MVP?
So my LVP is also another Giants pitcher. My least valuable player in the postseason in these last 10 years is actually Johnny Cueto. And I know that might sound a little ridiculous, but I looked at his stats compared to Clayton Kershaw's, and they're pretty similar, except Cueto's a little worse. Kershaw's record is 9-11. Cueto's is 2-4. They both have ERAs in the high fours, but if you look at the big chunky stats like hits, runs, and home runs and balls and all that stuff, statistically, Cueto's a little worse. And that guy just does not have ice in his veins. It's like they're boiling. So Johnny Cueto is actually my answer for the least valuable player.
Yeah.
I feel like that we needed prep on this one just because I'm like fumbling around trying to look at stats right now.
I am too. Yeah.
All right, we can get
revisit
next week. Yeah, we'll get your answers next week. You guys.
I'm pretty confident in my worst one actually. If you want to hear it now.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
It's Bryce Harper.
Nah.
I think he's got like a 200 average in the playoffs lifetime.
Perfect.
Never won a playoff series.
So okay
No
with
one's
that.
said Luke Studa?
He only made it once. How can you be
Yeah,
the least?
That was a joke, and about how abysmal his throw was in the last game of the Mets postseason. That was
If
that
you
was
gave
sarcastic.
me 20 years, I was gonna say A-Rod.
Yeah.
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 All right. Okay, so actual
All right.
mailbag.
Mailbag,
We'll
yeah.
wait- we'll wait for
Mailbag.
Lawrence.
Mailbag.
Okay, he's done.
All right, I'm done.
So, Nick Cataldi wants to know, why do you think the Devils are struggling so bad?
No one's played with each other ever. I mean, their top six is brand new, and no, I guess that's actually not true.
I was
Because
going to say Karma.
all have been playing together. What did you say? Karma?
I was going to say Karma, yeah.
No.
Did you
No,
just-
My
They're just
jokes
really
are falling so
bad at
flat.
defense.
Okay,
They're really
I'm
bad
gonna-
defense.
I'm going to stop talking.
And shaky tending. I mean, they've given up 4-goal
Yeah.
leads twice.
You can make up for bad defense with a good goalie, but the goalie hasn't been good either. Right? Like
Are we
Ryan
gonna
can't
brush
get
over the
that.
fact that Luke said karma? That was
And
his
no one
reason?
laughed? No.
It's full of hot
Yeah,
takes.
I'm 0 for 2 on funny jokes tonight. I'm just going to shut up.
I
But
feel
think-
like Lucas said worse things on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. There's only been 6 episodes, and we've got a lot more to come. But shaky tending was also my answer because, Corey Schneider is not what he used to be. And I think Mackenzie Blackwood, even though Devils fans really like him, I think he's on the lower end of backup goalies. And that's a really weird thing to brag about. But, you have those like high-end backup goalies like Saros and Dell and Georgiev and Grice. And then you have the middle-of-the-pack guys like Kincaid and McElhaney and all those guys. And then Mackenzie Blackwood is on the bottom. So when you have a really, really bad goaltending tandem in the back, not just a bad starting goalie, but a bad tandem, it's really going to cost you. And the Devils' offensive weapons are very good, and we've seen them score plenty of times and prove that they can handle the offensive portion of hockey. It's the defense and the goalie that is really causing them all these problems.
I have only watched less than 100 minutes of the Devils so far this year. But Jack Hughes looked lost every second he was on the ice. Lost. Looks like he's a rookie. Plays with people that he's never played with before, who have never played with each other. Like, it was a mess.
This kid graduated high school, 4 months ago?
Yeah.
I was going to say, he just got the ability to vote. So
yeah. He's been driving for less time than I've been out of college.
Weird.
I know.
Playing top 6 minutes in the NHL. How does it make you feel?
I'm just not that good at hockey.
All right, we're moving on. So Sadie Snow wants to know, why are the Jets so bad, and how can we save them? Sadie, Sam Darnold's back. The Lord and Savior has returned.
Honestly, it's the only Pat McAfee's rant on Get Up was absolutely electric. If anyone heard it,
I didn't see it. No.
Oh, it was fantastic. He basically just went on and on and on about how like Sam Darnold is basically everything for New York Jets fans right now. Like literally everything for New York Jets fans right now. It's the only reason we have a glimmer of hope, any sort of future And he ended the argument. It was hysterical. All right, yeah, you know what? It's relevant to these podcast listeners. I think you should go watch it, or I think the podcast host rather. You guys should go watch it at some point.
I will definitely go take a
Because
look.
the
Big
ending
Pat
of it was hilarious. Yeah, I figured that too. I figured I had you.
Drop the link in the group chat.
Okay, I will.
Oh, now everyone's
but
going to know we have a group
listen.
chat, Ryan.
Just,
Luke, put the
Sam-
link to it in the bio of this video too.
oh, good idea.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
God.
Yeah, so everyone click the link in the description.
Yep.
Yeah. Where was I going? The defense is banged up. Greg Williams has had a decent defense with 2 linebackers completely gone. He is right now running a Jets defense with Neville Hewitt and Blake Cashman starting at linebacker and not C.J. Mosley and Avery Williamson. His corners are hot garbage. Leonard Williams, overrated. Henry Anderson, Steve McClendon, banged up. The defense hasn't looked terrible for the first 6 weeks of football. They really haven't. I think Greg's fine. I think the defense will be fine when they get healthy. And most importantly, Sam Darnold's back. And we have life. Listen, if we pull off a miracle, and I mean a miracle, on Monday night, this team is 2-4. Then they play the Jaguars, not great. The Redskins, not great. The Dolphins twice, double not great. The Bengals, not great. There's 5 wins right there. There's 7. The rest of your schedule is a little tougher. It's the Steelers. You don't know what the state of that team's going to be towards the back end of the season. MetLife.
Oh.
So not even a bell return game. They come here. We play at Baltimore. You can probably chalk that one up as a loss. You play Buffalo once more, and you play the Raiders. And I believe I actually just nailed every opponent that the Jets had left.
Proud of you.
Wow.
This if you win this game and you go to 2-4, even if you go to 1-5, you could pull together a string of wins, a la the Colts from last year, and sneak in at 9-7 and make the AFC playoffs. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
Absolutely.
The team gets healthy and goes on a run. It's totally possible. The team can end up with 4 wins, and no one on this – I wanted to curse so badly there. No one on this earth – and I don't know why I didn't. No one on this earth will be surprised.
Luke, I have a
Lawrence,
question.
before you ask your question, Lawrence said it best. I was going to say that because it's the Colts team last year, I don't count any football team out anymore. But Ryan, go ahead.
Absolutely not related to this at all. Can we get a hot garbage counter? How many times Lawrence has said hot garbage in the podcast?
I don't want to. Do I need to
Big phrase of mine. No, definitely you don't need to put that because you'll have to do a lot more work.
Yeah.
Because I say it a lot.
All right. Let's move on. Brett Oschek wants to know, who do we expect to be the next head coach of the New York Mets, or the manager, I should say? Yeah. Ryan,
Can we all say Joe Girardi and move on so Ryan can stop being a miserable prick?
I think it'll either be him or Beltran.
I was going to say, who do I want? Joe Girardi. Who do I expect?
Girardi.
Carlos Beltran.
Eduardo Perez.
That's
who I expect.
Girardi
All right,
today
great.
actually.
Oh, everyone said their answer. Move on.
Ryan,
Give me a little bit. I made an Eduardo Perez joke.
Girardi
People don't
resigned.
know who that is.
That's also true.
No
Girardi
one
resigned.
gets to laugh at my jokes. No one's laughing at yours.
You got to worry about the Cubs, though, with Girardi. That's what I'm worried about.
True. He resigned from USA Baseball today too.
Yep.
You
Big
saw
move.
that or not?
Yep. Big move.
So he's taking someone's job.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Colby Alterelli wants to know, when he's available to return, will Kareem Hunt take over the starting job from Nick Chubb?
No.
Nope.
He'll
I
at best get
gotta
a
start
third.
shouting my answer. What's up?
He'll at best get a third of the carries at best.
I agree with that. Chubb's been rolling.
Yeah.
Now, is that the
Completely
same?
rolling.
Is that the same at the end of the season? I
Yeah, who
think.
knows?
Obviously. They have a bye in between now and then. He's rolling. They're not gonna just give this guy carries after he's been out of football for a year.
Hey,
Because he's
I got
Kareem Hunt.
Chubb on my fantasy team. Give him all the carries you want. I'm just saying, Kareem Hunt.
Colby, if you're asking this question, it's definitely worth handcuffing Kareem Hunt. If you are a Chubb owner, it's definitely worth it. If that's why you're actually, because I don't think Colby's a Browns fan. Pick him up.
Colby's not.
That's not a bad
He's
idea,
not-
actually.
He's not a Browns fan. Handcuff him
Colby's
week 8 or
Steelers
9,
fan.
week 10.
There you go. There you
There
go,
you
Collins.
go.
All right, and lastly, Pat Pitts wants to know, do we think famous Jameis and Marcus Mariota will be starting quarterbacks in the NFL next year?
I think Jameis will.
Depends on how Tannehill plays, maybe. I can envision them going back to Mariota if they think they're in it at the end and Tannehill's been complete dog shit. You like complete dog shit instead of hot garbage, Ryan?
Whatever you want. I think Jameis will. I do not think that Mariota will, especially if Tannehill has even a little bit of success. Like I said earlier, we were talking about this earlier. That Titans defense is too good for this team to be 2-4, are they? They haven't let up more than 20 points in a game. Their highest let was 20 points in a game. That's a good defense. That means you need to score 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns and a field goal, depending on the game, to win a football game. Every football team should be able to put up 17 points in a game. And if you did that like the Titans, you would have won more football games than just 2. And I think and expect Tannehill to be able to drive into offense to score 17 points. At the rate that the Titans defense is playing, you win games with 17 points.
And that is going to do it for all of us here at Four Guys Talking Sports. Thank you so much for listening to episode 6, for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, the whole shebang. We appreciate it nonetheless. My name is Luke Lagrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella.
And I'm Lawrence Lagrano.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify. Make sure you tune in next week. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Spay and neuter your pets.